was gritty. Grew up bad boys, never knowing Diddy. Now we bad boy, like the 80s business. Pay to give it away. Oprah Winfrey, are you rolling with me? Are you ride or die? Is you eating what I feed into you? Cyanide. Eye for eye, a colder heart than I can hide. So if Tony's dark, it's cause I got iron pride. Might rock a suit and tie, but these roots of mine are blue collar. Boots and a new car. Grew in Oakland County.
Three,
Had my school father, but I was made by
All right, everybody.
like the
Welcome to
two
Party and
I'm
Politics.
the new
I am your host, Tony Vincent. With me, I have a very special guest, Phil Elam. Did I pronounce that correctly?
That's absolutely correct.
Awesome. AKA Cocoa Bean.
Cocoa Bean!
Cocoa Bean. I love it. And I just got the privilege of hearing an exclusive, very fire. Man, when that bass line kicks in right away, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a smash right here.
Well, I'll tell you something. I'm working with some dope producers now. Legion Beats, Enodomni Nation, Liptunes Music, Timper Music. It's like a whole camp. So that beat, that's Enodomni Nation. And man, they're the coolest, man. They're just good people, man. So first time I've actually ever collaborated with anybody. And
Wow.
yeah, so did one track. They said, "What else you got?" And then so I'm working on the third track right now.
Nice. Was
Good
this
people.
the first venture into hip hop more? Because it was definitely more of a hip hop track than.
Without a doubt. Actually, I did that one track, "Put Your Lights Up." I put that out last year, and actually that was like my top track last year. So played 82 countries on Spotify. 82.
Wow. Yeah, and that's a big thing that I definitely want to ask you about, because you've been really killing it with this whole playlist thing, all this stuff. So, backtracking a little bit, what was the move? Like how were you aware? How did you have that awareness? Because obviously now it's like the goal is to get on these playlists, right?
Right, exactly.
So how did you have that foresight? What was like?
I'm telling you, this goes to everybody out there. When I tell you this number, I'm not lying. Anthony, when I tell you I got over 800 rejections,
Wow.
800.
Yeah.
Ended it out? Nope. 800 rejection. Just took one yes.
Yeah.
One yes. Guy named
Wow.
Tori. He had a Fresh Tim playlist, and he was like, actually, I got to talk to him one day and figure out how, because it got to him eventually, right? And he probably saw, who is this mother? Send it in. And we said, let's give this guy a shot. And what he did, though, because he had this Fresh Tim, and he would pick like a few tracks, and he would go to like the place that would have just 10 slots on it. And he had a bunch of these places to go. So he would take these tracks and go like, listen to these. Because that was the problem. Some of these playlist curators, Anthony, they're getting like 500 submissions a day.
Yeah.
So they're just batch rejecting all of them, right?
Yeah.
I'm just like plugging away. Anthony, when I tell you I'm at the computer, it's like I'm just going to keep going. After a while, it's like I wasn't even expecting a yes anymore. It's like I was just possessed.
No,
I was accepting no for an answer. 800 rejection. 800.
Yeah,
Over 800.
Wow. Yeah, I guess the big thing in this industry is being able to have thick skin. I mean, that's a huge thing, right?
Yeah, so I just kept going. And then one playlist, then led to the next one, and that led to the next one. And then after a while, I just put something else up, like they just put it right up. So now it got to the point where it's like Tori and Josh and those guys are like, whatever you got.
Wow.
Whatever you got.
Yeah, you've established that you can come with some heat. So
yeah. So, but it was like when I say have faith and don't give up, stay positive, and always help other people out, man.
Yeah.
Always help other people out, right? So that's all I gotta say. Just don't give up. No matter what they tell you, man, and they tell you can't do it, or you don't count, or you just like, that's what Cocoa Bean's all about. If you listen to it, man, that's true life.
Yeah, no, man, and that's it's crazy because before you sent me that track, I was like, man, there's so many things that I want to ask you. Obviously, you know, the music stuff, the entertainment stuff, but also your personal life, the experience, all the stuff that makes you unique and an individual and the story that you tell. And it's funny because in that song, like you're talking about some of these things, and I was like, okay, well, that's a great segue because obviously, you know, this is me and you have had conversations before, but this is the first time we're kind of doing it
Right.
in some recorded fashion. So, you know, I wanted to make sure that you know, we had that open platform, that open dialogue, and, you know,
Ask me anything. Ask me
yeah,
anything.
yeah. So that's, I mean, because you have that line in there that said something like, I was too black for the whites, something for the blacks, right? Like something.
For the whites, the whites for the blacks.
Yeah.
Also the hustle and countless attacks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you a story. I remember I was in junior high school, right? And middle school. And music room, right? Detroit. All the black kids were on one side, all the white kids were on the other side, right?
Yeah.
So I'm with all the black kids. I'm looking at this. I'm like, this is messed up, man. Screw this. So
Yeah.
I went across to the other side of the room to the white kids. Anthony, what you doing over here, you?
Oh, wow.
I'm like, whoa. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh man. So I went back over to the black side, and the black kids are like, what you doing over there, all them white kids? I'm
Yeah.
like, damn. So I literally sat over in the corner by myself, and I was like, man, this ain't right. I don't know what I could do, but this is not the way it's supposed to be. And I always
Yeah.
held that, right? So yeah. Now I remember another story going to my church, grew up in the church, all black church. I remember this white family came in, right? And I'm like, man, what's up? Because I'm like, hey, I love everybody. Come on in, come on in, come on in, right? And I was
Yeah.
like, okay. Got caught it then too. Like, what's up with this, man? What's up with this?
Yeah.
And you know what it is, Anthony? A lot of times it's like, I'm not the only one who wants to make that move. I know
Mhm.
I'm not.
Yeah.
But so many times people are afraid to make that move because they're afraid they're going to catch it. But they want to make the move. So just
Yeah.
be the first one to make the move. And you know what? You'll eventually find out that you're not alone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I feel like we definitely are social creatures, man. We definitely do want to, you know, have that interaction. But yeah, we get so caught up in these boxes and these
Yeah.
labels
What people
and
going to think about me, man? You know what's so funny, Tony? Nobody's thinking about you because
yeah,
they worried about what they're thinking about them. So it's
exactly.
like they ain't got time to think about you. They're
Yeah,
worried about themselves. You know what I mean?
100%. Yep.
Just do the thing and don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Do what you know is right. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I know that that's a big thing that I feel like me and you probably have in common because I, you know, grew up feeling really out of place growing up. You know, my mom's side all Jewish, my dad's side Italian Catholic, so they were the first people in their families to, like, you know, date outside that tribe and then have a kid. So there was a
Right.
lot of, like, you know,
Every day
controversy and, you know, especially when it's a religious aspect too, where it's like one group is like, oh, this is the ultimate right. No, this is the ultimate right. And you just start like, I don't know what to do. The funerals are different. The weddings are different. You just get super confused. And
Mazel tov.
yeah,
How'd you,
absolutely.
what'd you do? How'd you get through it?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I had a lot of anger about it for a while because it was like I felt like on both families I was an outsider. You know, I felt like I didn't fit in with one or the other. Not to say that people outright treated me bad, but it was just a vibe, you know, it was just this comfort
You
thing.
feel it. People, they don't gotta say shit to you.
Yeah,
You feel it. You feel it.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. But what I ended up when I got a little older, I realized that my curiosity with talking to people who had different backgrounds and stuff like that, that upbringing showed me a huge lesson about perspective.
Wow.
Like, you know, people can be 100% certain that their way of thinking is the right way. And because they've never really, you know, had these conversations with other people or had to love people with different
Mhm.
beliefs, you know?
Right, right.
So that was a
You know,
huge
that's
thing. And, you know, I actually am thankful for that upbringing now because I can, you know, I feel like I have such a good perspective of looking at things from so many different sides and just, you know, all that kind of thing. So,
And it's a blessing too, because you instinctively know that one way is not the only way, right?
exactly.
And it's so important that we take these lessons that we have and we kind of spread it around, because you know what? There's so many people out there struggling, right? If we just take the time to take a minute, it's like, hey, man, okay, you're struggling. What can I do to help?
Yeah.
Because, that's what hip hop's all about, man. And that's the whole music industry. To me, that's what it's all about. It's a great platform. Man, we got to be of service and we got to help. If you write a verse that's like touches me or anybody else, man, that's a blessing. That is a blessing, right? And then, but you got to take it for what it is. It's like you wrote a verse, made a contribution. Don't get hung up on it. Don't let it define you and think like, man, I'm all this now. You can't do no. Because another verse is going to come along that's going to help somebody else. If you could be just one step on that path, man, you can't ask for anything more. So there you go.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And that's great about, music, art, anything, just being able to put that experience into something that can be obtained by other people. It's such a huge thing. I know it helped me growing up. I'm sure it helped you, all that kind of stuff.
I remember I used to get my ass kicked all the time. Growing up in Detroit, you know how that is.
Yeah.
I remember going out, pow!
Yeah.
Books go flying.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the book bags, all that stuff. Yep.
Put on some grunge or something like that. Like, I'm pissed.
Yeah.
Any better, take me away.
Yeah. Yeah, man, because you have such a, you have the aspect of, the Black experience and like being, an artsy individual and all this stuff that maybe you didn't fit into quote unquote certain boxes or stereotypes. And so you probably stuck out like a sore thumb a little bit in certain aspects.
Dude, I was nerdy, glasses. I was like Urkel before Urkel was cool, man. Dude, I was a hot mess, man. I was a hot mess. But you know what though? Deep down, I'm a spiritual person. Like I lost my mom when I was 8 years old. Wow. So I just always had that sense of like being protected. You know what I mean? I always had that sense of like, don't go right, go left.
Yeah.
Just keep walking a little bit longer. So you got 798 rejections. Just keep going. You almost there. Because you know what? Don't get out of when you're like 500 in. I ain't getting out alive. You know what I mean? 600 in, 700 in. It's like, man, and that's why it's like when the one yes came in, I'm like, I almost deleted it because it was like, what? I didn't even understand it. Like,
got confused. Yeah.
Like, wait, that's 3 letters instead of 2.
Yeah. Are they speaking English to me?
I know this word. Let's sound it out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's that age-old saying, you could have a million no's, but it just takes one yes,
One.
That's all you need.
One.
You just need one, yeah.
One.
Yeah.
And that yes came in, and thing of it is, and when that yes came in, you talk about being grateful. You know what I mean? And letting them know, like, thank you. And it's one of those things like, and I'm going on my way. It's like, hey, now what do we do? How do we market? How do we get the word out? I'm on this playlist. And they appreciated that because it's kind of like, I'm on your playlist. I'm going to let the world know. And they appreciate that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Goals, they want, so it's like, somebody gives you something, give it back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give it away. Pass it on. So
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And, one thing about you that ever since I've known you, you've been really good about making sure you're in these, whether it's communities, whether it's the acting, the music, all this stuff, like you've always been really amazing about the networking aspect. Is that something you're conscious of, or is it just natural to you? Because you do seem kind of like a more social person. Or
I just like people.
Yeah.
I like people. And, and I appreciate, come on, the city that we're from, dude, it's like,
oh, yeah.
There's so much people. I mean, we got blueprints out the wazoo. We got the Seeger, we got the Aretha Franklin, we got the M&Ms, we got the whole Motown story. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, we got the blueprint, and all we got to do is just like, what did they do? And one thing they all had vision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They all it's like, okay, this is what I have, this is where I want to go, this is what I see. And Seeger, of course, that's man, I can't say enough. He should be
Yeah.
Governor Seeger as far as I'm concerned, right?
All right. Yeah. That's high praise. I'll take it.
So it's like, but all these people, and they're good people.
Yeah.
A chance to talk to them, they're good people. They're down to earth. They're like, what can I do to help? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the Seeger story, man, I mean, that dude wouldn't give up.
Yeah.
And it's like, but that's Detroit though, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we just don't give up. We just don't give up.
Yeah. And there's something about that work ethic here that's just, I talked about on one of my last podcasts how, I lived in LA for a little bit. And I was really trying to get things going with other people that would always talk, oh, I want to make music. I want to do this. And I'd be like, all right, let's get in the studio. Let's do this. I was constantly the one trying to set stuff up. And it seemed like these other people just did not have it's like, it almost to me reminded me of like, if my dream was to work in like for Ford or something, well, it's so easy. It's like not even like something I would stress about, but because they grow up where the entertainment industry is like what working for a car company is for us, maybe they don't have that. Like, it's like that just, oh, I got to do it. I got to get it. I got it. This, if it's the last thing I do.
Right. I think you're hitting on something there because bottom line is it's not given to us.
Yeah.
We got to make it out of nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to find that beat. We got to find that like vintage Yamaha beatbox drum machine. We got to pull out the records and try to figure it out ourselves. So, you know what I mean? So nothing's given to us. So, but thing of it is though, the key is when we start to get it, we got to share it.
Yeah.
Bring somebody else up with you. Because man, there's nothing like sharing it with those people who are with you from the beginning. When it starts to happen, here they come. They come. But it's like, you want to turn back to like, man, remember when we were like splitting a Twinkie?
Right.
On Davidson and Woodward Avenue, outside of the Wendy's over there, and the KFC across the street. Those are the things that, you want to keep the people close to you that were there in the beginning. Because then, they're going to appreciate it with you. Kind of, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Don't forget where you came from. And, those people that keep you grounded. And that's why it does seem like a lot of people who do have success from here, they kind of stay here, and I think there's something to be said about that for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So good stuff. And look at you now. That big old logo behind you. And we're like, hey, Anthony, what's up? Grand Traverse Pie Company, get a sandwich.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. No, that's and that's one thing that's interesting too. Like, we all, the group of people that kind of come through Barry's office is such an eclectic. I mean, it's like a series of misfits. It's just all these people, with different artistic visions and different characters, and the different people alone, it could be a show. I swear. I mean, it's
right. But it was always a safe space, right?
Yeah.
And like everyone's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm doing this. Like, okay, but what can I do to help?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean? So that's the main thing. Thing. So, dude, let's talk about you for a second. So, I mean, you've been doing this. I mean, Jeff Bass, come on, man. That's kind of sweet.
I mean, I'm trying to, I'm really, I've thought about this whole thing, and I've been like, I really want to do a podcast, and it's just one of those things I just started doing. And I kind of had this vision about trying to have everything all kind of together, like the music, the multimedia, the podcast, streaming, all this stuff. So I dropped an album recently, like a month ago, and then
which I checked out a couple of tracks. Very, very, very nice. Thank you.
I appreciate that, man.
Sure.
Yeah, and you've always been really cool, man. I mean, a story that I want to tell. I don't know if I think it's a really good experience for everybody. I don't know if you mind about the sexuality, talking about that, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, because that's, one of the biggest, most positive experiences I've had with you was when I was working on a track called Andre, and I was trying to figure out the hook like the right way, and you chimed in. And usually, some people might be nervous about like speaking on another person's song or that kind of stuff, but I showed it to you because I wanted to hear your opinion. And you said the lyrics for the hook originally were so good it could turn a man gay. And you go, well, just because they're a man, it's kind of insinuating that, a man can't be gay. And you said, turn a straight man gay. And the way you said it was it just clicked to me so much. And you weren't saying it like, you knew I wasn't trying to be offensive. You knew that it wasn't like meant as a derogatory thing. I just was trying to come up with a catchy hook more than anything. And you're like, and then what you said actually made it flow better too. So it wasn't like just, hey, be politically correct. It was like, it made it better. So it was like, it was better for multiple reasons. And that was a huge, just being able to have that conversation, because I know a lot of people, kind of how we started talking this conversation originally, when you feel like you're in a different group or whatever, it's hard to have these conversations, period, So that was an awesome experience.
I remember that. Now that you brought that up, I haven't thought about that since you brought it up, but and you hit it on it just what it is. And after a while, and you can appreciate this, a lot of people can appreciate this. When you're put on the outside for so long, you're like, you get comfortable there. You know what I mean? And you realize it's like, you know what? I'm all right. And you realize, and it goes back to what we were saying earlier, it's like, no matter what people say about you, or no matter what people do to you, it's up to you as to whether or not you allow it to define you.
Yeah.
Right. And it's after a while, it's kind of like, I gotta be me. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I just gotta be me. And the bottom line, as you said, it was all about the track.
Yeah.
What's gonna make that track better? What's gonna make that track stand out? How is that track gonna bump a little bit more and be of service?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and anytime we can help somebody else out, be yourself, because that's where the truth comes from.
Yeah.
And when you're truthful, everything's better.
No, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And you just, man, you've always been this shining beacon of positivity, man. You talk about, how you were a person on the outside for so long. Like, have you always just had that outlook, or did it just take like so many just, whether it's no's, whether it's getting made fun of, whether it's slurs, whatever you can name, did it just happen one day where you're like, all right, I can either keep letting this bring me down, or were you just always like, the world's just gonna have to deal with me?
No, man. I remember being in college once, and this was messed up. It's a weekend dormitory. I went out someplace. I came back in, and someone on my dorm room door put all these epitaphs on there, man. Just name it. Anything they want to call you, it was all on my door. And this what was so messed up. Everybody's in the dorm, in the hallways, and they all see it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this, and I'm looking around like, is someone going to... Everybody act like nothing was going on.
Mm-hmm.
That was a turning point. Telling you, Anthony, I went in my dorm room, I closed the door, and I sunk to the floor. I closed on the other side of the door, back to the door. I literally sunk to the floor, and I was like, I broke down.
Yeah.
Because I was in so much pain. And I'm thinking like, nobody cares. And that was the worst. It wasn't so much they put that stuff up there.
Yeah.
It was like, nobody cared. Nobody said, are you okay?
Yeah.
Nobody said, damn. Nobody said, I know who did it. That was so... It's like they all ignored it. And that was messed up. And that was one of the focal points. And that's when I remember one of the points where it started. It's like, man, I can't let this affect me like this. I got to do something about it. But I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to lose who I am. I'm not going to shut down or just hate the world. Because it's like, I know I got too much to give. There's too much love inside here that I got to get out. And just because those cowards who did it and those cowards who didn't stand up, screw them, man. That messed up attitude is not going to mess me up. And that was like the beginning, one of those focal points in the beginning I remember. But there were so many things that happened before then, so many things that happened after that. But I was like, no, I'm not going to let that define me. I got a choice to make.
Yeah.
I need to become bitter and shut down and because man, there's so much. Life is a gift, and we all need to realize that. So
Yeah.
But to answer your question, no, it's not always been that way. And no, so many times it's been like, oh man,
Yeah.
this sucks. You know what I mean? But
what did, like, when you finally started, because obviously, so after that experience, like, how often, well, I guess let me make sure I ask this the right way. So at what point did you just start being totally open about your sexuality with like people and stuff? Like, what did it take to get to that point?
That took a long time. I remember there's many moments, but I remember the one moment where I was in a work situation and I thought I was completely in the closet, right?
Okay.
And then, they were like, what? Like I'm trying to play straight, right? And they're like, what? But you're not. I'm like, yeah, we all know. I'm like, damn, and I felt like an idiot.
Was it other gay people that called you out, or were these straight people?
No. I mean, like everybody, because
okay.
I'm a bad liar.
Okay.
I'm bad, I mean, I got game, but my game wasn't all that good back then. So it's like when I'm trying to look at her. Yeah. It's like, please.
Yeah. She's all right.
Yeah. Oh, look at those shoes.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. But yeah, it's funny because you're not, and again, even talking about like stereotypes is a weird thing to say, but you don't have that stereotypical like gay persona. You're just like, and I know it's such a cliche thing to say, but you're just a regular guy kind of thing. So it's just it's one of those things that obviously there's people in whatever group you identify with, whatever your subculture is, whatever you want to call it. Like there's some people who really, do you feel like some people like put it on? And I'm not just saying gay people. I'm just saying like whatever group they identify with. Do you feel like some people like maybe are trying too hard, or do you feel like a lot of people are just who they are?
It's so funny, Anthony. I can't say.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some days you put on a Barbra Streisand record or a Britney Spears record,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a pride parade.
Yeah.
But then you put on a Dre record or a Snoop record or Jay-Z or something. It's like, so everybody's on a journey, and there's so many different facets kind of thing. So I mean, I love classical music. I love some hardcore. I like, you put on some Metallica.
Yeah.
That hardcore pocket or Rage Against the Machine.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I mean,
get the blood pumping.
I know it's like,
yeah.
I'm like, I'm ripping off my shirt and I'm just like smashing stuff around the house. You're like, what you doing? What you doing?
Yeah.
Not grandma's face. So yeah, so it's hard to say because everybody's on a different journey. I can't judge. I have no idea what other people are doing and where they're at, how authentic they're being.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. And so you've always been pretty, like, you're never, because I know I've seen different people, and like, I know that I know like some gay people and their other gay friends have pressured them to come out of the closet maybe sooner than they were comfortable with. Like, so it seems like you've always, no matter what the person is or whoever they are, it seems like you've always been a cool person to kind of like have in your corner. You're not really trying to make anybody do anything that they don't want to do. You know,
because I don't want anybody trying to make me do anything I don't want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
We all had that pressure, like, you need to do this, especially in this industry, right?
Yeah.
If you want to get a hit, you got to do this. Or if you want to get a hit, you got to work with that person. If you want to get a hit, you got to, use the N-word. You know what I mean? You got to, you know what I mean? And it's like, dude, if that's what you feel like you need to do, that's you. But, I've been told what I need to do and what I shouldn't do way too many times.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm tired of, tired of it. It's like, let me do what I think I need to do right for me. The moment I started doing that, You know, that's
Oh
when
yeah.
things start to click. And being grateful for it. It's not just doing what you think is right. Being grateful for it. That's key. That is key.
Absolutely. Yeah, and
Being
that
grateful.
I think you hit that thing on the head about, other people trying to tell you to do stuff and just doing what you feel comfortable with. I mean, one thing I'll never forget when I first started getting into rapping and the whole hip hop thing, I was like 13, 14, between 13 and 15 years old, and there'd be a bunch of kids we'd be with. And there'd be a mix of kids, black kids, white kids, Arabic kids, a little bit of everything. And some of these white kids would be like, saying the N-word in their songs, and stuff like that. And nobody took it that they were being racist or anything like that. But it was like I kind of had the foresight. I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, you guys can, and that was a big thing, that kind of what you said that reminded me of that, because it's just it's maybe they were comfortable, I don't know, but for me it was like, I think it's one of those things that you're trying to be what you see as successful, so it's like you try to model that. But yeah, I mean, if you don't, whether it's something as extreme or that, or even something smaller, it's like, yeah, if you don't feel comfortable with it, how do you expect people are going to feel when they're watching you or listening to you? Or
Because if you're not comfortable with it, it's gonna stink on you, man. It's gonna stink, because people could just read. We're so connected, Anthony. We're so connected. Like, hey, you want to use that in your track? Say that word in your track. That's fine. For me personally, I mean, my grandmother, my great grandmother, they saw people being lynched.
Yeah.
They come from the South.
Yeah.
So for them, I understand the philosophy of taking ownership of it, but and that's, if that's where you're at, that's fine. But for me, in my household, where I grew up, or what I was taught that word meant, and and the I mean, the pictures I've been shown, family pictures of just things that's happened to like my relatives and stuff like that, based around that word. Just for me, it's just this not something I
yeah, it's not
funny though. So funny. I'm taking some major acting classes in Cleveland. I'm actually in Cleveland right now, in Cleveland Heights, and First Team Actor Studio, and another great place for the artistic community. This artistic community down here.
Shout out to Cleveland. Give a round of applause for Cleveland.
Lauren Nichols, she's one of the principals. We were doing these scenes, and they were in the scene. They were quoting an NWA song, right? NWA track, right? So this is how cool this community is, right? I'm the only brother in the classroom, right? And we're going through. And I say, Lauren, I had this script for a week. I'm like, Lauren, okay, this is where I feel about this word, right?
Yeah.
If I'm in an audition, am I going to have to say this word? She goes, Phil, this audition is actually out there right now. Yeah, if you could, with this part, you'll be excited. So you know what? I'm the only brother in this class, right? The class broke for a week, and we had a conversation about that word and how I was comfortable and how it affected me. And it was like, everyone was so cool, open conversation. It's like, see, this is an artistic community that's about something, where everybody's here coming together, trying to grow, help each other grow. It's like first tank.
Yeah, no, that is a beautiful thing, and that's it. And it's interesting because part of the things with the whole, like you mentioned, NWA and all this kind of stuff, and how words, this conversation has definitely had these kind of vibes and all these things that interest me. And the NWA thing, what's like, I feel conflicted about a lot of this stuff, and the reason is because, like, I feel like when NWA first came out, what was part of the ownership, but it was also kind of like this punk rock thing, because using that word in like making it a positive was like unheard of. And then now you have these white kids in the suburbs saying it as a compliment, like, I want to be this, I want to do this, and their racist parents are getting all upset about it. So to me, it almost seemed like that was like the ultimate revenge, Like,
You know what? And I'll tell you this, and one part of the conversation was, it's like NWA's social impact is undeniable.
oh yeah,
They move society and the conversation of racism forward
oh yeah,
in a positive direction. It's undeniable, right? I mean, Dre, Easy, all of them, right?
yeah,
They they move the conversation forward, right? And you have to thank them for that, right? And like, we wouldn't be here today in this form, and hip hop would not be. They're part of the architectural blueprint.
oh
You know,
absolutely,
you know what I mean.
absolutely,
So it's like, so you got to give it to them, but where you fit in, you have to decide where you're going to fit in. Because NWA is NWA. You never
yeah,
take that away from them. You're never going to repeat it. No one's ever. Don't even try to repeat what they did or copy what they did, because they did it. It's done, and we built upon that, and they're always going to be there. But where we fit in on top of that, we just have to find our space, pay homage, give respect. Because Dan, thank you,
yeah,
NWA. You know,
absolutely,
but then based upon
absolutely.
that, now we just got to find out, how do we try to contribute based upon that. How do we help take it to the next step?
Yeah.
And if we're able to do that, that's a blessing. And if we're not, God bless you for trying.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, anything you create, the way I look at it at this point, like, the past year, really the COVID thing. I mean, I stepped away from music really since the last album that you were around when I was making. I stepped away from it after that just because it is a very passionate thing. It takes a lot of time, a lot of, sometimes money is involved, all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, I need to step away for a bit. And but it got to the point, this COVID stuff, man, like it made me really like start to question my mortality, and like, man, if I like die today or a week from now, like what am I doing? Like am I living happily, all that kind of stuff. And I'm a creative person. I have to be doing something creative. And it got to the point where I was like, at that point in time, my whole thing was like, all right, I'm gonna put this album out. If I don't become like a rock star off this album, then I'm just done. And it was kind of like a being a brat. I was kind of throwing a tantrum about it, right? So that was, and I kind of got to the point where it's like, hey, I definitely do want to be able to have some type of income or be able to support myself off this, but at the same time, just having the privilege to be able to do it, just being
Yeah,
able to create something. I mean, we forget that, especially now with being able to just get yourself a mic at home, all this kind of stuff, how easier it's become to create this art and not have to pay $5,000 to record a demo. And so it's just being able to do it. I mean, I'm thankful for that. I mean, we talked
yeah,
about being thankful. I'm thankful for just being able to do it. And I have fun with it. So if it never becomes anything more than that, man, I had a great time doing it. I feel good. I feel like I've put something into the world that wasn't there before.
right,
So
right. And because of that attitude, I'm all about meditation, Anthony. When you're grateful for that, you watch out. You're going to get more of it. You're going to
yeah,
get more of it. And I love your attitude. The one thing that you said, which is so key, is like, you're not tied to the results.
yeah,
Like you said, you're like, if I'm not a rock star, I'm done. But then
yeah,
you were like, no, 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 no. I'm just going to put it out there because I can and I want to, and let it go, and just let the universe just take care of it and take it where it's going to go. And then, you're going to create something else. You're going to create
yeah.
something else, and that's, God bless you for that. God bless you. That's the right attitude to have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I agree. And I mean, honestly, like I mean, I know me and you haven't had like the most interactions with each other, but you are one of those people that just, I feel like anybody you come in contact with, I mean, I cannot imagine being in a bad mood around you. I cannot, like, I feel like I could try and it would be gone. Like it would just,
You might get irritated with me because if I see you in the bad mood, I'm like, dude, what can I do to help? You're like, okay, you're like 5 minutes, okay?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
I up singing, and I'm just thankful. I'm just thankful. I'm just so thankful because I mean, with COVID on top of that, man,
Yeah.
it's like I think that's like put everything into perspective for a lot of people, for all of them, right? So we
Yeah.
just be thankful for every moment we have.
Oh yeah.
Thankful. So yeah, I'm up with that completely.
No,
What was
absolutely.
your first concert?
What was my first concert I've ever went to?
Yeah.
Billy Joel when I was 8 years old.
What?
Yeah.
So where was it?
Palace.
The Palace.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad was a huge, I think he still is a fan. He just was super into him at that point in time. And he's like, my dad was like, he kind of raised me as a single dad. So I was kind of his buddy for a lot of this stuff.
Oh,
And he's
that's
just like,
awesome.
Billy Joel was coming. He was getting really into him. And he was smart too, because I think he kind of planned this where he probably got the tickets. I didn't know about this, but he started playing me all these Billy Joel songs, man, all these albums. And I just like, I mean, that dude can write some bangers, man.
Yeah,
Some of the
yeah.
most catchy, like great, I think in like some of the best songs ever,
He's
and I
up
was
there.
he got me super like into it. I was all about it still this day. One of my favorite artists. And yeah, it was, so I was 8 years old at the concert, with all these older people, and I'm like singing every song, like
So you were the coolest kid. They're like, who's this cool kid?
yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. Billy Joel. Billy Joel or Elton John?
Man, it's hard. I feel like overall I like Elton John more, because Elton John, again, we talked about the rock star thing, that I hate to be like look at things that some might feel is like an exterior thing, but Elton John is just such a force. Like he's just like,
Vision.
yeah, he's just such a force, and just like he can't be stopped. I mean, and overall career consistency, all this stuff. Just so I do have to go with Elton John overall. I feel like Billy Joel for he's more. It's kind of like comparing them is like comparing. It's almost like a Royce the 5'9" versus Eminem comparison. Royce the 5'9",
Right.
if you're more about just what's actually happening in the music, and you don't care about the glamour and the lights or something like that. I mean, that might be a weird comparison, but just like I feel like it's
That's what you're saying.
yeah. So, but Elton John overall, because just being, I mean, talk about being comfortable with yourself.
Well, look what he went through to get to that point.
Oh yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It wasn't an overnight thing.
Yeah, and I think those challenges that we face, and so many times that's like a blessing. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's like you get through it, and you're like, oh, that ain't nothing. Because I just
Yeah.
went from that to here.
Oh
So,
yeah.
That ain't. You getting upset over that?
Yeah.
You know what I just went through. You know what I mean? So yeah, those trials by fire, I think, really help hard and get you ready for the other stuff. It helps put things in perspective. It really does.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And speaking of the music and just like society and everything like that, like someone like yourself who's been through different times and stuff like that, and you've seen society change. I mean, you had to be in society before it changed for a lot of these things. With a lot of this kind of stuff that's going on with and I hate to use the term political correctness or whatever, but that kind of battle over how we move forward, when that's the cancel culture, all that kind of stuff. As someone who's really had to kind of develop this positive outlook and go through those things, there was nothing, you couldn't run to Twitter back then, right? You just had to figure it out and deal with it. So like how do you view like the newer generation with a lot of this stuff? Like, do you feel like in some ways they should try to deal with it in a different way, or like how do you like see it?
Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. I think I remember reading the story back in the 90s. There was a group called Ace of Base. Was it the 90s? 2000. Anyway, they were huge. At one point, they were like massive, right? Yeah. And it turns out that I hope I'm getting this story right. One of the guys at Ace of Base was like an Aryan or something like that. I mean, it was like messed up, right?
Wow.
And it came out, and they were like, done. And I get it, right?
Yeah.
Done. Like, we're done with them because they fell off, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And yeah, that's I get it. But the record executive's wife, it was Jewish, right? She said to her husband, we could still help him.
Yeah.
We do something to help get him back on the right path, right? Yeah, what he did's wrong, and yeah, you got to pay for your own consequences, and yeah, you just don't. When you do that kind of stuff, you ain't gonna get off scot-free. You gotta do it, but can you still help him? Kind of thing. So I think like January 6th messed up, right? Those people are like, man, you hear all these stories, stuff that happened. It's like, it breaks. I was like in tears, like the one cop, Capitol cop they were talking about today, how they call him like the N-word. Here he is protecting the Capitol. Like they're chasing him down and yelling this at him. It's like, oh my God. I was like, man, I broke down. I was like, that had to be terrible. Those people are wrong. But I mean, the Bible even says you still got to try to love them.
Yeah.
It's hard, man. It's hard. And you don't want to. You don't want to. But man, you still got, if you could reach out a hand and say, like, man, let me, because you know what, Anthony? And this is the truth, man. Those people who are like that, they're hurt.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're 100% right.
They're hurt. That hate is covering some major, major pain. And the bigger the hate, the deeper and more severe the pain.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So when I see someone, and when people come at me, and they've come at me, it took me a while to get to this point, and they throw those racial epithets at me or those derogatory remarks at me, man, it's like I could see, the more angry they get, I could see the pain in their eyes, man.
Yeah.
I see it. And it's like, I'm hurt. It's like, man, and I get mad, and I got to think it through. Okay, how do I respond to this? That's going to move the conversation forward. Sometimes I come up with the answer right away, and sometimes I don't. But the bottom line is, I always, more quicker rather than later these days, I see the pain.
Oh, yeah.
And when I see that pain, I feel for them, and my heart goes out to them. And it's easier to forgive. Because I'll tell you something, I've needed forgiveness in my life.
Yeah.
And once you need forgiveness in your life, it's so much easier to forgive others. And you try to help them. Like, how can I help get you back on the right path, man? Because you think you're at a spot where you want to be, but dude, you're really not where you want to be, because you are hurt, you're in pain, and nobody needs to live with pain.
Yeah.
So for the cancel culture, that's where I'm at right now. And that's where I'm really trying to get a better grasp on that and try to figure out a way to implement that more in my life on an everyday basis, because it's all around us, right?
Yeah.
And people make mistakes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
that's it's one of those things with me, and I think like people do get frustrated with me on both sides of any argument, because the thing that we talked about earlier about like my Jewish family, Italian family experience, that put me in a position where I always default to devil's advocate. And like, I can't even help myself. Like, I always am like the worst person in the world. I'm, like, you have the forgiveness side, but mine's like, okay, well, why are they doing this? And like, especially coming from a group of people who were literally, killed by the Nazis, and actual Nazis and all that kind of stuff. Like, I get conflicted sometimes, because I'm like, there are clearly people who have they're just never going to be good. They're just, they possibly do want that absolute death and that destruction and all that kind of stuff. But there are some people that either led down the wrong path, or, all kinds of different shades of all this kind of stuff. It's not so black and white or red and blue or, whatever kind of way that we want to try to box each other off. And that's one thing right now. What frustrates me is because I feel like it's it seems like every side is this, you're either with us or against us.
Right.
You know, it's like, you know, if you even are having conversations with someone, trying to be open-minded with someone politically you don't agree with, or all that kind of stuff, or you're just like, some people I think are scared to even say that they're unsure about something. Like, it's just like,
Right.
you know, wanting to have, and to me, that is hurting the cause. That is not bringing us together. That is not progress. You know,
Right.
those
It was really crazy too. Like, I had this one friend, and got to know him, work out at the gym, great guy, talking to him for a long time. And then it came out, you know, his political views were completely opposite of mine, right? I'm like, and I was shocked. I mean, this guy was like way over there, right? From your perspective, way over there, right? Anyway, and I really, we got into an argument, right? Because he went someplace. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
We started yelling, right? And then afterwards, after it was over, I thought about it, like, wait a minute. I like this guy. Why in the world? I got to get my head around this, right?
Yeah.
Because we had so many great conversations. We agreed on so many things. So I looked him up. We got back. I'm like, so dude, okay, we disagree on this, but I'm not going to like wreck our friendship over this, because obviously, let me understand what you're trying to say and why you're trying to say it, right? And we got through it. We disagree on so many things, but the bottom line is we're able to sit down and talk about it.
Yeah.
You know? I think that's, if we could just get past that initial, like, what? You know, which is understandable. We get past that. It's like, look, we all have fears. We all have insecurities. We all have likes. We all have loves. We all get hungry. You know what I mean? We all got to go to the bathroom after we have 3 or 4 beers. You know what I mean? So it's like, what can we, you know, let's start from there and figure it out.
Yeah, no, man, that's an incredible way to look at it. I try to do the same thing. It seems like so here's an interesting question, because I know that I've talked about this with other people. You know, I remember growing up as a kid, like, talking about religion and politics were frowned upon, right? You just didn't discuss those things with other people. And so, like, do you feel like it seems like we're in the opposite world now, where it's like it's gone full opposite, where now if you don't tell people what your politics and your religious views are, like, you almost have to wear it, right? You have to wear it on your shirt or on your face. Like, what is your perspective on that? Do you feel like it was easier for people to get along if they didn't know what they did in the voting booth, or, like, you know, what is your take on that?
Good question. That's a good question. You know what, Anthony? Goes back to what we were talking about earlier, right? One thing doesn't define you. One action doesn't define you. One statement doesn't define you, kind of thing, right? Now, the problem is, you know, certain people, and they keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. It's like, I think that kind of defines you, because that's who you are as your core, right?
Yeah.
But someone, like, for instance, if somebody said something 12 years ago, right? That doesn't mean that's who they are now. But to answer your question specifically, I don't think it's necessary, because just because whether you're Democrat or Republican, Independent or whatever, Catholic, Jewish, a Protestant, you know, Muslim, whatever, that's just one aspect of you. That's just one aspect, you know? So, yeah, it can come up, but I mean, I hope that someone doesn't just say, I'm a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you want. You know what I mean?
That's just how they introduce themselves.
You know, I'm a Democrat.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know, it's like, you know, well, it's like, and what else are you, kind of?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's a part of it.
And we definitely don't fit in. And I think when you break it down, we all don't fit in these boxes, even these stereotypes. Like, and, you know, you're, you know, more close knit with probably the gay community than I am, but you know that there's gay people who are Republicans or fiscally conservative or this and that. So it's, you know, there's people that are, black people who voted for Trump or all this kind of stuff. There's these things that people don't, because exactly what you're talking about is this is one aspect, right? It's like,
Right.
even if we try to fit this mold, and a lot of us do, a lot of us say, hey, we're kind of wearing this, this whole thing. But it's just, we're messy. It's our pain is all over the place. It's mixing in. It's and that to me is fun.
That's the American experience. That's the American experience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and let's face it, so many people in other countries, even though, man, we've slipped on some major banana peels, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's country, this is still the place to be.
Yeah.
And because it's the place to be, that's why we slipped on those banana peels. That's part of the package, right?
Yeah.
But you slip on the banana peel, you get up, right?
Yeah.
And you learn from it. And then you just try to avoid that banana peel next time. But you're going to slip again. And that's okay. That's part of the experience. As long as we help each other get back up. That's what makes America beautiful.
Yeah. So. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. And it's a great thing, man. I mean, I know, even Barry's office, I feel like, with all of the different people, and you could, I think about that a lot, like how, because I knew a lot of different people, and a lot of people did wear their political affiliation or their religion on their, shoulders. And you're not like, you're not absent-minded of this stuff. So, there could be someone in that same office who may have some issues with what you do outside of that office and that kind of thing. And,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
that's okay.
Yeah. But everybody in there is cordial, right?
Exactly. It was always a safe space.
Yeah.
No one ever threw anything in my face in that space. It was just understood, like, man, this is not the place.
Yeah.
And even outside of that space, because you're part of that community, it was never an issue either.
Yeah, for sure. No, absolutely. And it's, hey, we're mutual friends, it's we have this mutual interest. And yeah, man, that type of stuff gives me so much optimism about the future, and just really, and again, it's not to ignore the issues, it's not to ignore the problems, but man, the stuff that we have in common, I feel like we always are going to have so much more in common as human beings than we are going to have things apart,
Absolutely. So it's a great experience. So, and it goes back to the city, the vibe of this city, the hustle of this city, the creativity of this city. Because, man, people in Detroit, man, they just work so hard. I mean, Prince broke in Detroit first. You know what I mean? Because, Detroit could see the work ethic in that guy.
Yeah, and that man worked like a train.
Exactly, right?
So
he literally changed the game.
Yeah.
Right? And Detroit just actually, that was my first concert. Prince was my first concert. So.
Oh wow, that's wild. That's awesome. What? Holy smokes! Yeah, where was it at?
Oh, Joe Louis.
Oh wow, awesome.
I shouldn't have been there. I was too young.
Yeah. he must have been like blowing up at that point if it was Joe Louis, right? I mean, he was like, wow.
I shouldn't have been there. I was too young. How come he just wearing? What's that?
He had the assless chaps on and everything.
Stage.
Yeah.
Like, man, that's great.
Yeah.
They're like,
yeah. And he's a
bit too much, Phil, aren't you? Like, I don't know. This is good.
Yeah, and he's one of the biggest examples of just like being who he is and like no shame at all. Like, and he's gonna take your girl. Like, he doesn't, it's I mean, exactly. The confidence.
Almost as a girl, still gonna take your girl.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
oh yeah. And
remember that concert, man? He opened with track Controversy, right?
Wow.
And he lit down that pole like a trench coat and a G-string and high heels with a guitar on his back, right? And this one, and the scooter stage. I'm like, oh my God, who is this person? life. It changed my life. Right.
Wow.
I was too young to be there. It's like I didn't quite understand what was going on, but it was like,
yeah, man. He's a legend, and just the fact, when you like listen to a lot of the stories that from people that were around the scene at the time, like him and Michael Jackson had like a rivalry, like, to be able to make Michael Jackson a little jealous, like, man, you got to be like on just a gigantic level of talent. It's just, it's unthinkable.
Right. And it's so funny because you got like so many artists today that are paying homage to him. They don't even realize they're paying homage to him. You got Justin Blake, of course, Lady Gaga, and of course, but even going back prior to Prince, you got people like David Bowie, and T-Rex, all those guys back in the day. But no matter, the point I'm making is that even going back to Little Richard, right?
Yeah.
You're just honestly who you are, and you're not ashamed of who you are, right? People will respond to that.
Yeah.
People respect authenticity.
Yeah.
But so often, Anthony, as you know, we're told like, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. That's not how the way to do that. And we lose that, babies or just kids, or when we're growing up, we're so free, right?
Yeah.
But then, where society tells us how we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do, what we're not supposed to do. And we spend a lifetime trying to get back to that innocent, free state. You know what I mean? And it's always a struggle. But, but those who get back there, they're always celebrated.
Oh, yeah.
Picasso, Da Vinci, no matter Shakespeare, it's consistent. As humans, we love and respect and applaud authenticity. And, and there's enough for all of us, man. There's enough room for all of us. So don't ever think like, well, if I help you, it's not gonna be enough for me. No, there's enough for you, me, and everybody else. So remember.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. I appreciate all the gems you drop, everything. You're always someone that I definitely look to for inspiration, man. Positivity, all that stuff.
Well, thank you for asking me to be here, man. Thank you.
Absolutely, man.
That job is killing me, man. I love it. I love it. Scissored perfectly. There's like 2 wings coming off your shoulders.
Yeah, I'm an angel. Yeah, man. But anything you want to plug, current stuff that you have out? I know that track that you just worked on. Are you going to be putting that on Spotify or anything like that soon?
Yeah. I'm actually that track and another track. They're mixing it right now, and I'm working on a 3rd track for them. I did the one they asked for a second, so I did a 3rd. And I'm doing the 3rd right now, and like I said, Anadani Nation, Legion Beats, Temper Music, Flip Tunes Music. Those guys are just like, bang. Because they've done Snoop, Kendrick Lamar, Nas. The whole list. Oh, they're working with. So just to be able to like, to kind of be getting into that camp with those guys is like a blessing. So
yeah.
It's like,
I could.
That track is like.
Oh yeah, that right away. I was like, this is something right here.
Yeah. So that's for Spotify through all the playlists and stuff. Like as an indie artist, no airplay, like almost 1.2 million streams so far.
Wow, man, I gotta give it up to you, man. You're doing your thing out here, man.
The support, the love I've been getting. So things look good. And then, this community here, First Team Actor Studio, it's like, man, I'm so blessed. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful. I just want to share it with everybody. So, and thank you so much for reaching out to me. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Actually, I was stepping out the shop. I was like, I'm dripping with like, yes, win. Information, TMI. I could never tell.
Absolutely, man. Well,
thank you so much for having me, Anthony.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate your time. And so, where can people reach you if they want social media, anything like that?
Phil Elam, Instagram, Phil Elam, Facebook, same thing. Twitter at Justice Boys Train, JUSTUZBOYZTRAIN. That's way too complicated. Just Facebook, Phil Elam, Instagram, Phil Elam. So those two are great. So, and if you want, you got my email address, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you just put that up too if you want. So
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
that's cool. So there you go.
All right, man. Appreciate you being here. Take it easy, my friend. Until next time.
Okay. Thank you so much, man.
Absolutely, man.
Okay, take care.
Welcome to Golden City. We know it's gritty. Grew up bad boys, never knowing did he. Now we bad boy, like the 80s business. Pay to give it away. Oprah Winfrey, are you rolling with me? Are you ride or die? Is you eating what I feed into you? Cyanide. Eye for eye, a colder heart than I can hide. So if Tony's dark, it's cause I got iron pride. Might rock a suit and tie, but these roots of mine are blue collar, boots and a new car. Grew in Oakland County, had my school father, but I was made by Wayne like the two Carters. I'm your new barber, putting clips on your head to get a buzz. Ready for the love, the sweat, and the blood, and the tears that I shed.